They'll be ready, believe you me.
You see him working hard, you've got to follow.
One of the best bowlers we've had for Australian cricket.
We continue to look ahead to the start of the 2021-22 Ashes series, which gets underway at the Gabba in Brisbane in just a few hours' time. And I'm delighted to say, as promised, we're joined live now by former baggy green wearer and, in fact, current baggy green wearer, Brad Hogg. He's got his baggy green on, which he earned 7 times, as well as hundreds of white ball games. Hoggy, thank you for your time. Excitement is building. Is everyone confident of another 5-0 win for Australia?
Look, everyone's confident like that over Australia, obviously, but just with what's happened over the last couple of weeks, we've had another bit of a scandal, which has rocked the boat, but the boys have settled down. Been speaking to Justin Langer about it, and he's fine. He's fully confident. He's sorted everything out there. We've got a new leader. We're moving in a new direction. And hopefully we won't have any more scandals for another 20, 30 years.
And Hoggy, it's nice to see that baggy green thing again that I used to try and earmark the majority of the time when I was bowling. Didn't always happen because I do have that fateful memory of Brisbane and that first ball that went awry, which you mentioned to me a little bit earlier. But when it comes to that first ball in Brisbane, the two captains walk out at the toss. How crucial is that going to be? Because Pat Cummins, first toss as an Australian captain, but there's a little bit of green tinge in the wicket. There is a bit of rain around. Could it be as simple, win the toss, win the game in Brisbane?
Well, it could be, but if you're alluding to, we're talking off air, but you're alluding to England. If they start, they're going to be quietly confident up there with the seam bowlers as well, because there'll be a lot of moisture in the wicket there. And we're using a slightly different kookaburra as well, where the seam stays harder for a lot longer. There's 2 sheens on it, 2 sheens covering on it. Lacquer, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So it's going to last longer, swing longer, and that's going to play into England's hands a little better. So for this series, it's going to make it a lot tighter. I'm not too worried about Brisbane. I think we'll win up there because we've got the cattle there. But when we go to Melbourne, we've got 2 day-night matches now, I think, scheduled, now that Perth has lost a test match. And that brings Anderson into play later on as well, where he can really shine his magic. So just Adelaide and 2 Melbourne tests, I think there's a big chance for England to go over the top of us if they play their cards right.
Cummins, the captain, is that a right call?
Yep, definitely. Clean skin, lovely bloke, and everyone follows him. He works hard, and he's a bit like a Ricky Ponting in a sense that he just goes out, does the business, and you see him working hard, you've got to follow. So I think it's the right call, and I don't think you can find any cobwebs in there where there's any darkness there or things that are going to come out of the closet. So for me, I think it's the right call.
Who will captain the team when he's bowling?
He'll captain the team when he's bowling because he's got to set his field, Neil. I think it'll be just a matter of Steve Smith just saying, look, Pat, you're the captain, especially early on in his captaincy, just going, mate, it's time for you to bowl. Don't be too generous with the other bowlers and feel as though you don't have to take on the big moment. So I think that's where Steve Smith comes in. And also Steve Smith's very good in the slips region where he can really sort out opposition's technique and he picks it up very quickly where there's a slight change, and he'll go up and convey that with Pat Cummins and the other bowlers as well. So I think it's good that Steve Smith's vice captain because it just quietens everything down that's happened over the last 3 years. And it just allows us to go in a new direction.
What did you make of Australia naming their team so early, a couple of days before? I mean, I know it was largely very obvious. It was really only between Travis Head and Usman Khawaja for a place in the middle order, wasn't it? I mean, that speculation about Mitchell Starc not being named in this starting 11 was a bit fanciful, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, you're looking at Jai Richardson there as well. He had a great Shield game just a couple of weeks ago up there in Brisbane where he swung the ball both ways. And the thing with Jai Richardson, he can bowl with extreme pace, but he's a bit like a Dale Steyn. He's worked it out very early that when the ball's moving, I'll cut back on the pace a little bit and just try and get a batsman out with skill. But when there's nothing in the air for me, nothing in the pitch, well, that's when I've got to amp it up with pace. And that just gives you a bit of longevity as a fast bowler. So you've got to use your smarts there. And I think if there was an opportunity to play Jai Richardson and get him into the fold of things, it would be up there in Brisbane. But you've got to have a left armour in your team. You've got to have that point of difference. And when you're looking at cricket these days, you've got so much cricket going on around the world. You're playing in different tournaments. We've just come off a T20 World Cup. And Mitchell Starc, for me, will be just working his way to make sure he's fully fit for this Ashes series. So you've got to work out what's happening behind the scenes as well to make sure that the players are ready on those big moments. So I think Mitchell Starc will be getting to his peak around about here in Brisbane. But wait till that Boxing Day Test match when the series is on the line. That's where we'll see the best of Mitchell Starc.
While we're on the subject, while we're on the subject of bowlers, Mark Wood looks like a certain starter for England, and I know that Harmy will be pleased about that. Let's hear what he had to say.
They're a top side. It's no good, just saying, that they'll have this and that. That they'll be ready. Believe you me, that they're a top team with good players that all know each other well. They've been together a long time. They've had lads in the World Cup who have been together off a high of a massive win there. So sharing a plane was good fun. Especially when they had their medals on, so hopefully we're the ones with the medals at the end.
And that's Mark Wood, who I think is going to play. I don't think there's any question on Wood and Wokes and Robinson. I think it's between Leach and Broad, who is the one that misses out. And I think Broad's got to play, hasn't he, against Davey Warner?
Oh, definitely. He's got to play, yeah. Hey, didn't Wood have a go at the baggy green at some stage as well? In one of the press conferences?
I think he did, just to stoke the fire a little bit. I don't know about you, Hoggy, but I think, we'll come on to the Broad Warner bit in a second, but there hasn't been as much talked about. Whenever I played, it was like Glenn was saying, we're going to win 5-0, and more often than not, you did, because these were very, very good. I think because of the sides, I think these sides are a little bit closer. You mentioned the 4 players play again with each other around the world. I don't think there's been as much in the media as what there used to be leading into an Ashes series.
Well, you brought up a good point there, because we're playing all these T20 tournaments around the world where you're in the same change rooms. And actually, I was quite surprised, because a lot of us played a lot of county cricket over in England, but we still had that argy-bargy out in the middle. Yeah.
Which was enjoyable.
It was very enjoyable, but we probably didn't play as much cricket back then as well. Whereas we're playing a lot of cricket now, and because you're in the change rooms a lot more with the opposition team, you still, you've got a bit more respect on a certain level when you're off field. Probably the wrong thing to say there, but you know what I'm saying there. So they're probably a lot closer than what we were back then, and that sort of changed the dynamic as well. But there's a lot that's happened off the field with both teams. We've had the stuff which has happened to Tim Payne, and then we've had the issues up there in Yorkshire. And I'm not having a crack at England or anything like that in that particular phase, because we all go through these issues, and we're in a transition period right now. And when these issues come up, we've got to make sure we stamp it out and move forward. But going back to Wood, when he had a crack at that baggy green, he's got to understand that Wood's not a very popular thing to have over in Australia with the with the fires that we have during the summer. So he's probably going to be the thing that sparks everything up. So Woody, I'm looking forward to seeing his pace, because he looks like he's a very, very tough competitor. But I just want to see his endurance in the heat over here in Australia when it does hotten up in the middle of the summer.
On the subject of Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins, I'm just wondering whether Cummins has been so busy with the media, he's given so many interviews. I think he might be wondering about the requirements of the job. I mean, I knew he knew in theory what was required, but this is what he had to say about Mitchell Starc and returning to form.
Just an incredible player, bowler. I think strike rate under 50 in Test cricket, that doesn't come around too often. So I think when you look at his record, what he brings to the team, he's right up there with, one of the best bowlers we've had for Australian cricket. So we back him fully. He's been bowling beautifully in the net, swinging the ball, bowling fast. Can't wait to see him out here.
England, we don't think will play Jack Leach. We think they'll go all seam. How do you think Nathan Lyon will go against England's left-handers?
I think it would go really well, especially up there in Brisbane, especially with a bit of moisture in the air, but there'll be a bit of moisture in the wicket as well. And yeah, when you see a bit of a green tinge over here in Australia and a little bit of moisture when you put your finger in the stump cam there, you're licking your lips as a spinner as well, because you know that you're going to get a little bit of grip, but you get that extra bounce, and you know that you're going to hit the bat high up. And that's where your bat pads come into play, and your leg slips as well. So, your first slip for the left-handers, as you just mentioned there. So I think Nathan Lyon's going to play a major part. I think when you have a right-hander in the crease and someone that's very good against spin, I think you've got to try and take him on and put the pressure back on him and try and get him to lose his line and length. And then when the left-hander's on there, if he's slightly short, that's where you've got to punish him through the point region. So that's the way that I'd play Nathan Lyon in Australia.
And Hoggy, and not asking for a prediction, I'm looking for somebody that you feel that both sides individually are going to need to stand up, rather not so much like the captains, but a player on each side that if they play well, they're going to win the Ashes.
I think Milan from England. I think he had a good series last time he came over here. He had a couple of 50s and he made a brilliant 100. I think that was at the MCG from memory. So he's got to continue that performance, and he's the man for the job for me to stand up for England. I also like Robinson. I think he's going to do the job. Just let him free, let him go out there and let him really get stuck into the Australian batsman, because I think he's going to be one that can win it with you with the ball. For me, for Australia, I think the man that's really going to have to stand up is probably Cameron Green in the middle order. He's had a taste of Test cricket. We're looking for that Flintoff all-rounder, and I think he's got to live with his bowling, but he's got to continue what he's done with the bat. He's been fairly consistent there, but he's got to turn those starts into bigger scores, because that's where we've been lacking in the middle order.
Brad Hogg, enjoy the Ashes. Let's hope it doesn't rain too much in Brisbane. I know the forecast isn't great, but it hasn't dampened our enthusiasm for what we hope will be another memorable series. Enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. And just because there's rain around, I think it's only on the third day where we're probably going to lose a bit of play, but the rest of it, I think we'll get full day's play in. And hopefully it's another test match like India and Australia had last year, where India went over the top of Australia. It was close right to the end. We want to see those nail-biting test matches.
Thanks for your time, Hoggy.
Brilliant, Hoggy.
Thanks, guys.